In Hendersonville, Tennessee, just north of Nashville, Bill and Mary Heeks have managed to bring a bit of jolly old England right here to Middle Tennessee. From a miniature village to a putting green, their garden has a little bit of everything. Mary, tell me about the beginning of this beautiful garden that you've created here over the years.
Well, this tree was perfect for my children's sandbox. So that's where the children played. And as the children got older, the sandbox turned into the rock garden. And then I just couldn't resist adding on to the garden right and left. And I just, as my husband traveled, so did the garden. It just kept traveling up and down and
turned in eventually to what we see.
That's exactly right.
Today.
Yes.
Well, you have both sun and shade here in this garden.
I do.
So you're able to grow a really wide range of plants.
True.
And you have things, I noticed, really planted tightly. Is there a philosophy behind that?
Well, I think most small English gardens, if you see the proper family garden in England, the borders are so condensed with flowers. They don't have many weeds.
Right.
So the more, and the backdrop, if you have a backdrop of shrubs and your plants, you can eliminate the weeds by kind of cramming it all in.
Right. And then you get such also wonderful textural variations and things. Even when the garden isn't maybe in full bloom, it still looks great because you have all of that foliage texture.
Right, it's the different greens.
Mary, I noticed you have quite a number of plants in containers, hanging baskets, containers that just are sitting above ground. Tell me just a little bit about growing things in all these containers and how you manage them and overwinter and all of that.
Well, all these plants are from last year, the baskets. I got them from the high school. And of course I trimmed them back in the fall and put them in the greenhouse.
Right.
And they just have flourished out here.
They're lush and full. And then you have castor bean?
Well, I call it castor oil.
Castor oil,
which I love.
And
this is an almond plant, and I got it from Logie's greenhouse. And when it blooms, the aroma is just wonderful.
Okay, and all of these things get carried into the greenhouse for the winter, right? That is a labor of love, I guess.
It is. I mean, we have some help now getting them in, because this is my bougainvillea, and there's my shrimp, my justicia.
With the beautiful pink flowers on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
So, and then I also noticed you have a really beautiful plumeria blooming over there that is a very tropical plant, but pretty easy to grow, I think.
They are. You just don't need to baby them. They like to be neglected.
Right.
Put them in the pot and leave them alone.
Yeah, and a lot of times you'll even see them being sold at flower shows and places, not even potted, just a stick, just a stalk.
Yeah.
And you take that home and pot it up and it grows roots and eventually turns into a little flowering shrub or small tree.
That's exactly right.
But completely tropical and has to be indoors for the winter.
It does.
I've been lucky enough to travel to England a few times, and I've noticed in gardens over there that sometimes I see these miniature villages, and you've done the same thing. Tell me about this little village that you've created.
Well, this is like the village where I live in England, and I lived in King's Heath, Birmingham. And this here is All Saints Church. This is where my husband and I go when we go back home.
Right.
And this is just a special church. This is my home church in England. And it does have a water feature in England, so I put a little mirror there to mirror
to reflect and look like water.
Exactly.
And then down here,
this is my village.
Your little village.
And it's called the Maypole. That's where I lived.
Okay.
And of course the houses are different, as in the regular community. Some houses outshine others.
Right, and then you've got a little lake, made out of a mirror.
That's right.
And you've made all of these little village buildings, the little houses yourselves, right?
My husband and I, he built the form, and they weigh 60 pounds, so they're very heavy.
Very heavy, so they're not going anywhere. And then you just decorate the outsides of them with tiles and...
True, and I like to put curtains in mine, and then the thatch tried to make it look like a thatch cottage.
Right, right. And the thatch is made out of cocoa fiber,
That's
right?
correct. And the birds love it.
I bet.
So everybody's happy.
Yes, so they can use that as nesting material, and then if it gets too thin, you can just add a little bit more.
That's true, that's true. And I really want it eventually to become a green roof.
Okay,
You
so
know.
you allow little things to grow in it,
Right.
and maybe moss and...
That's
That-
what I'm hoping, you know,
Very
in
good.
time.
Yes. This is quite a specimen. This is pitcher plant, correct?
Correct.
And these are native to our bogs and wet places in the southeastern United States.
True.
And how have you been so successful with them here in the garden?
Well, my son-in-law, who's in Memphis, has a farm of pitcher plants, and that he has them in a plastic bucket full of peat, drill holes, and they winter over. So he gave me this one,
Right.
and it has wintered over, so this is its second year.
It is really beautiful. Well, you have so many unique features here in the garden, but maybe one of the most unique is that you have your own small putting green.
Well, there had to be something in this garden for my husband. So this is his putting green.
So there are 3 holes in here, and you can move the flag stick around and practice putting in different positions.
That's correct, and the children and adults just absolutely love this putting green.
Well, you have, over a period of, I guess, almost 40 years, created a lovely garden, and we just want to thank you so much for sharing it with all of us.
Well, you are so very welcome. I've truly enjoyed having you over there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For inspiring garden tours, growing tips, and garden projects, visit our website at volunteergardener.org or on YouTube at the Volunteer Gardener channel, and like us on Facebook.